So, and this is basically literally what sales is all about. Every time you guys get an objection, you guys don't know how to do all these things, this is what it means, right? So, it's basically an illustration of what sales is. Every prospect has a future. And the future also known as your goals. So they have goals. They also have what? They also have a current situation right now. So this is where they're at, and this is where they want to go. This one simple? Okay, great. What's this in between called? There's an in between, right? Like you see, they are here. So this, imagine this is I call this Hell Island, right? You know why I call Hell Island? How many of you, very simple, how many of you want to stay at where you're at right now? The same amount of income, the same amount of life, the same amount of energy you have. How many? It's definitely hell, right? How many of you want to stay in hell? Probably not. See, that's what we call it Hell Island, right? Nobody wants to be at their present state because there's always an unfulfilled desire. And for fun fact, and guys, it's worth writing down. Nobody is ever at their ideal state. Nobody. You think about the person who has six-pack, what, 10% body fat like everything else, or especially ladies, very slim, very pretty already, then I'm still so fat. Yeah, nobody is ever at their ideal state. Okay? And so, it's called a Hell Island. And then obviously this is called your Heaven Island. Okay? And the in-between is also, so I want you to imagine, right? Because there are two islands, imagine in between here is ocean, water, right? And then stuff like that, right? So there's a gap here. And this gap is also known as your problem. Right? I want to get there, I'm here right now, maybe I don't know how. Right? So there's a problem. Remember we talked about sales? So we identified already, right? Just some definition of sales. There's a problem, there's a solution, there's a problem. And then the solution will be what? The solution would be, let's just say, I'll draw these like two blue lines, okay? Yeah. Your solution is like your bridge here. Make sense? It's like a bridge. It's like, hey, you want to go here, right? This is my bridge. This is my solution to get there. Right? Can we get there? Okay? So, there's a solution. Now, if sales was only that easy, you help them find their future, you tell them where you are sucks right now, and then you take my bridge, and then we can get you there. And then you get money. Wouldn't that be great? But usually doesn't happen, right? So you tell them your solution, what kind of problems they give you. What do they say? Imagine this, we are on this island, we are going to this island, there's like water, then let's assume everybody can't swim, right? Or even if we can't, it's probably like 50 kilometers from one island to the other. And I say, hey, take my boat, take my bridge. My bridge, you just need to walk. Simple. We just go there. What are the objections? Or what do you think people will say? So what if what? What if the boat? Okay, let's assume, okay, we take bridge, Okay, what if the bridge shaky? Yeah. Correct? What else? Go wrong direction. Right? What if I fall off the bridge? What if people jump and then I fall off, right? And so what happens here is you will get, what if I get eaten by the sharks? Whatever, right? So this cute little thing I'm drawing here are sharks. Okay? And so they will always give you objections to your solution. You tell them ILP is the way to get you to your retirement, and then they tell you what? Risky, investment fee, too high, and then the term, too long. Okay? Or your sharks. Okay? And that's essentially how it is. Now, but sharks are not the only problem, right? Let's talk about investments because it's the easiest one. Let's say you overcome all of the objections when it comes to your solution. You convince them that fees are low. You convince them that, you know what, the payment terms are fine, the period terms, whatever it is, like product's great, there's 999% startup bonus, whatever, right? What's beyond all those things about product? What's another problem?
What about other bridge?
Very good. So, your bridge is not the only bridge that will get them there. Imagine, you go by the pier, right? I was in San Francisco, right? We're at like the pier, right? Then you eat the best oysters and stuff like that. And then there were so many oyster stores, right? They're all competing for each other. So, you have another problem. You have other solutions that can get them there. And this is what I also call other alternatives. So what does other alternatives sound like when it comes to the prospect's language? Fill in the gaps. I already have an advisor. I can do it
On my own.
There are other better solutions, there are other platforms, correct? Like your robo-advisors. Yeah. It's like, walao, you help you find the future. It's like, you see our problems? Sometimes they don't even know their goals. Or their goals too small. They know their goals already, you know their current, and they have a problem. They tell you they know, but then they might not realize the problem. So you help them realize. Then you need to tell them about how beautiful your solution and your bridge is. Then you need to reassure them there's no sharks below. And then on top of that, you need to convince them that all this sucks. And yours is the best. That's what sales is all about. And so, always remember this picture or this diagram. Because your sales process, I think someone asked me the structure, I think it was Shami, right? The structure in the sales process is just these few things, right? Number one, find out about their future. Find out about their current. Help them to identify the problem. Eliminate other alternatives. And then lastly, pitch your solution. 5-step sales structure, if you so to speak. So whether it's Sanjay Tonani or Dr. Sanjay Tonani or whoever else, right? When it comes to sales process, these 5 things. 5 things. I repeat, find out their future, find out about their current, help them realize the problem, eliminate other alternatives, pitch a solution. That's what sales is. Whether it's your agency leader, whether your colleagues are like TOT, President Club, doesn't matter. This is what happens in all sales. Now, some of you might be aspiring managers or becoming a leader soon, or you want to teach some mentees of yours. Every time they bring you case study, go back to this. Every time they, I don't know what's the structure, go back to this. Because if you do everything well, if you do these 5 steps well, by right you should close. If you don't close, this means one or more of these things didn't go well. Maybe you didn't find a future. Maybe you did 3, 5, 4, everything all good. But maybe you didn't help them to expand their goals. Their goals too small. You also can't close. Or, I think like Hui Min was mentioning just now, right? Or they don't feel like they have urgency. Right? They feel like, okay I can do it next year. Things like that. Make sense? Question so far? Simple enough? I mean, simple, but of course with the doing is hard, right? But this understanding simple? Yes? This is what sales is literally all about.
Does it mean that if you do 1, 2, 3, or 5 better, the objection will be less?
Correct. So, there's a reason why I put your pitching of a solution as the 5th and the last step. Because a lot of times, people don't do number 1, they might not help them realize the problem, they might not even eliminate alternatives, and then they try to go for the pitch. And when you go for the pitch, then you end up, right, you realize that I need to find I got another advisor. You get this objection. Or like, I think the payment term too long. I need to think about it. Or like, actually, I think I can kind of get there on my own. Right? And so number 5, which is pitching a solution, is usually the one that is the least, I care about the least. But in agencies, more often than not, they care about this the most. Product features, how you sell, how you position the product, right? Stuff like that. But that's the least important one. That's the least important. Okay? How many of you have ever asked go your boss when you do role play or within the team? How many of you ask them, hey boss, how to find out problem and pain? Anyone? And if yes, what were the answers? What are the questions to ask pain? Probably not a lot. In fact, they don't even talk about pain. They talk about what? The prospects what? I know I'm touching myself, but that's not the point. Like it's the what the prospects what?
Budget.
It's like hot button, exactly. They say press the hot button. Does anyone even know what the hell a hot button means? It's something painful, right? But do they know exactly what questions to ask to press on the hot button? You know why it's hard? Because probably might not even realize what's the problem to begin with. In order to press on the hot button, it assumes that you know what are the hot buttons. Then you can press on it. Right? So, that's that. Any other questions? If the client doesn't want to cross, then usually this means that this one, okay, let's assume you did everything right. Either, maybe to them, right? That's a good question, by the way. The sixth step, okay, this is your prospect, okay? The prospect is a bit like that because you need to take up money, so, but you also no problem in pain, but you need to take up money, then it's like, should I or should I not, okay? Then this shader part, you know what is this things I drew by the side?
Can you explain?
Wings. Okay, wings. Okay, why I draw this is very simple. Because everything could be really perfectly fine. Maybe there are no sharks. Maybe solution is great. The problem is there. The goals are big. They want to retire with the, what is it? They still call it 5 Cs, condo car. I don't know. Maybe they changed already, right? The Singaporean dream, they call it, right? Maybe they want to achieve all this, but they do not trust themselves, or they do not believe in themselves that they can actually do it. This is the final boss, so to speak. Yeah, this one is like high level because you know why? This is typical sales. When you go to this level, now I'll draw you number 6. This is where what happens here. This is where I always tell you to do what to your clients for your prospects. So you see, you gotta what them. You gotta counsel. You gotta coach them. So everything all well, right? And then it's like some of you been through this when you guys go on a sales call with me. You're like, okay, money is okay, everything okay, but then I'll always ask, so is it a program problem or you feel like you cannot do it by yourself and like you don't believe that you can make this work? Yeah, I don't think I can make this work. And once I solve that, the case gets usually the deal gets closed. So your prospects understands all of this, totally rationalized, but maybe they're afraid of crossing the bridge. Maybe they're afraid of waters. Maybe they got shark phobia. Maybe they got bitten by shark before. Things like that, right? So you all know about payment, the investment plans, the payment term. They always complain it's very long, right? Sure, it could be a concept problem, maybe you got to work on it, but a lot of times is that they don't believe that they'll always have a job and always have an income to pay for the premiums. If whatever higher power you believe in, right? If God, Allah, whoever, right? Stay in front and say that you will always have income every year and your income can only grow, guaranteed. Guaranteed, no matter what happens. Even if you fall sick, the money will still come. Do you think there's a high chance of them just, the IRP, the 30 years no problem, right? 20 years no problem. Probably, right? But because a lot of people always tell you what if I get retrenched? Economy not good, blah, 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 things like that. Yeah, they don't believe that they can always get a job. They don't believe they can get a job in a shorter period of time. So they don't believe in themselves. Yeah, this is very high level. It's like, it's almost like coaching. Yeah. So the thing here is that, like you want to create doubt. It's the same thing as someone saying that, I don't think anything will happen to me. Or they say God will protect me. Things like that, right? And so you got to create doubt. And of course, there are ways to kind of create doubt, right? For example, let's say someone wants to DIY, depending on the prospect's profile, sometimes it's like, hey, like, share me an idea, like how much time do you spend studying or researching on the markets every week? How often do you keep track, right? And if things happen, how confident are you in yourself that you will make the right decision? So it's like a normal you play a scenario, right? So let's say investment market goes down, you're investing in SIFE, your money's in SIFE. Market goes down, how confident are you in yourself that you'll hold on and stick money in the stock market and ride through it? How confident are you from scale 1 to 10? Right? And they say, I think about 7. Great. Why is it not 10 out of 10? Oh, because blah, blah, maybe, cool. And this is the reason why a lot of my clients, even though they already know how to invest themselves, they always have a financial advisor because they want to get rid of the remaining 3 out of 10. Same thing with insurance, Ideally, everybody all live until X amount of years old and then we can all retire happily, correct? But then insurance is to solve what? Plan D. There's a small chance, or there's a chance that things could happen. So you're trying to hedge that, right? And so this is like ways to think about when you kind of create doubt. Yeah. I wouldn't say, okay, the way you create doubt is very important. You don't want to challenge your prospect. Hey, so you think you can? Right, Jason, so you think you can? It takes 40 years, invest every year. Sure, bro. You probably wouldn't end up, closing the deal. So the way you ask it is very, very important.